What is going on, Governors? Chisgule here, and today we are back for crazy, insane resource gathering. And today we are going to be taking a look at Talents 2.0, revisiting our recommendations for commanders, revisiting our recommendations for what those talents should look like since they have changed. And I am really excited about this. Resource gathering is exciting because I'm getting the equivalent of something like 4,000 gems of value every single day. And that's if you count them at the 50% price that you would buy them for at the VIP shop. Full price, I'm getting like 8,000 gems of value, farming stuff off the map. Let's talk about how you can trick out your commanders to be doing the exact same thing. Now, in my prior video, and I'll include a card up in the top to refer this, we talked about which commanders to be using. Today, we're going to be focusing in on how the talents change those recommendations and what those talents should be. Now, there's a couple different builds you can use. I'm going to pick one of the gatherers that I have maxed out the gathering talents for, and that is my Constance. Now, there are several different builds you can use depending on how much you want to invest in your gathering commanders. And I want to address a big myth here. Initially, after the gathering talents, the 2.0 talents were released, people said that gathering was nerfed, but the talents were tweaked a little bit. I believe that initially this top talent, Superior Tools, was only offering a 15% gathering speed. Now it's offering 25% gathering speed. All that to say, gathering in 2.0 is better than ever, way better than ever, and I'll show you why. So when we talk about what you need to get in these builds, the first critical milestone is these 4 talents that are in a row here for gathering mastery, one for each of the 4 types of things that you can go gather: food, wood, stone, and gold. And one way that you could specialize your commanders, especially if you're kind of early on in the game, you're not ready yet to level these commanders up a whole heck of a lot, is to spend a total of, I believe, 18 talent points. And you can unlock each of these 4 talents and max them out. And that gives you a 30% gathering boost in whatever it is that you want to go and gather. And that is a fine starting point. However, there's an important talent that I want to call your attention to, which is called the More the Better. Troops led by this commander will receive an additional 6% resources upon completion of gathering. So if you are ready to invest a little bit more in the talents for your gathering commanders, you want to grab this More is Better talent. But to get it, this entire branch through the middle is a prerequisite. So I'll show you my Joan of Arc because she has these talents acquired. We'll zoom in a little bit here. So my Joan of Arc is level 27, and I have unlocked the More the Better. With that said, I picked up this talent over here, Gathering Mastery for wood, because I figured I'm going to use her for a lot of different stuff. I could have spent 3 less levels of experience leveling her up and still obtained the More the Better, and that would have been if she was level 24. So you can get to 24, you can grab the More the Better, and that's going to give you 6% additional resources every time you complete a node. The goal, however, is to get all the way up here to Superior Tools. Maxed out, it's going to give you 25% more gathering speed, which means a total of 55% additional gathering speed, which is better than you were getting in the prior version of Talents. Huge, huge, huge gathering that you can do from that. That is going to take you all the way up to level 37 for these commanders. And that's a lot of experience. And I want to talk about the amount of experience it takes to get these commanders to the different levels. And I'm going to go through these, and I'll talk sort of slower than I normally do. Pause the video if you need to kind of evaluate where you should be. That first tier I mentioned is level 18, and that you could do if you want to get all 3 of the Gathering Mastery talents and to get those to 30% gathering. For a green commander, that's about 200,000 experience. For a blue commander, that's about 268,000 experience. And for an epic commander, it's about 334,500 experience. That is your starting point. So you can do some math with your experienced tomes to decide if you want to get them to one of those thresholds. Now, it's worth mentioning, obviously you can see the more rare the commander type, the more experience it takes. A legendary commander takes twice as much experience as those advanced commanders. Advanced is green. The next tier I mentioned is where you ignore Gathering Mastery for wood, and you go straight to the more the better. And obviously, that's not something you would want to do with a gatherer like Constance, who you should be sending out for wood because that's her specialty. But if you did go that route and only took them to level 24, it's about 480,000 experience for a advanced or green commander, 640,000 experience for a blue commander, and 799,000 experience or so for an epic commander. Now look, those numbers might not be perfect, but I think they're ballpark. Keep me honest in the comments if you've got a different calculator or way of expressing that. Now, if you want to do what I did with Joan of Arc, where you've got the more the better and Gathering Mastery, you need to take them to level 27. That's 670,000 experience at the green tier, 890,000 experience at the blue tier, and 1,113,000 experience at the epic tier. You see this is getting more and more expensive here. With that said, the final tier, the ultimate goal, is to get to level 37, and it's a lot of experience. It is about 1.9 million experience for a green commander, 2.5 million experience for a blue commander, and 3.14 million experience for a epic commander. A lot of experience to be leveling these folks up, but here is the thing. For the rest of the time that you are playing this game and you are doing gathering, you're going to be getting crazy, insane value from these commanders. And do you know what I realized the other day is that, look, our kingdom is in a state of peace. Do I need to invest in warring commanders right now? Or do I need to outgather my enemies and that's how I'm going to get ahead? I am super focused on gathering, and I think you should be too. Now, with that said, there's a couple talents that we didn't pick up that I want to talk about. The first is Tourniquet. When troops led by this commander are in battle, decrease the number of severely wounded units by 2%. I'm not worried about when these units are in battle. I'm not taking that talent. Now, these talents up top over here for defense and attack, again, I'm not using these commanders as the primary when I go to battle. And if I'm attacked while I'm resource gathering, so be it, but I'm not going to optimize for that. So talents you don't need, would not recommend. And the last talent that is a trap, I don't think you need this, is the Modified Axle. Now, this sounds like a cool talent. Increase the march speed of siege units by 10% at a max of 30%. And while that does sound interesting to get like to and from where you're going very, very quickly, it means you're going to have to get 3 more levels higher up before you can get talents like the more the better. And this is not required for any of those other talents. So I'll just zip back over. And by the way, you can see here, like I've taken every single commander except my epic, Joan of Arc, and my legendary commander, Cleopatra, up in those talents. And that is because the epic tier and the legendary tier, it is so many more experience tomes. I'm not quite ready to make that commitment yet. Now, I just want to point out that if you are using Cleopatra, and you probably should be, you don't want to take her to level 20 or past level 20 to the 3-star tier until you've maxed out this skill here. And what that means is that there's 2 ways you should be using Cleopatra. If you don't have her skills leveled up a whole heck of a lot, you probably use her as a tag-along secondary commander for one of your other gathering commanders. The way that I did her talents is to specialize her in gathering stone, obviously, because that's the thing she does, and gold. I picked gold because that maxed out the talent points that I allocated. So I've got her set up like that. In a perfect world, I might level this up a bit more. Not the case right now, and that's totally fine. I'm in no rush with Cleopatra. So I know that we have covered a lot of ground with these gathering commanders. There's something very important to talk about here that we talked about in a prior video, but we need to revisit, which is that now that you're actually leveling up these commanders, To get them to the point where they can have all these talents that you want, I want to advise you to be very, very careful to not create a situation where when you're putting new skills on them, it's non-optimal. Let me show you what I mean. Let me show you what I mean. On Constance, and on a lot of these gathering commanders, they have a skill that increases gathering speed. You want to max this skill before you unlock other skills. And that is because when you upgrade their skills, it's assigned randomly to one of the skills that can be upgraded, and a skill can be no higher than 5. So you can see here, I've made a conscious choice with Cleopatra that before I even level her up and pick up this next skill, which increases the load of troops, I actually would rather max out this first skill, which has to do with healing and defense. That's going to take a long time to do because she's legendary, but you kind of get the idea here. Now, Constance is a particularly interesting commander to talk about because when we talk about leveling up skills, because you can get her sculptures in one place only, and that is in the expedition. I'll pull that up very quick. She is always available. You can buy as many of her as you want, but it costs 400 expedition currency a pop. So you want to be very careful not to level her up past that critical threshold of, I guess it's level 20, until you max that second skill, because it's very, very expensive. It is a lot of this currency that it takes for this expedition currency in order to skill her up. Now, in a perfect world, you would be using your sculptures that could be applied to any commander, your blue ones. I didn't know any better at the start of the game, and so I was using my sculptures on Tomo and others. They all should go to Constance. And to show you that how this works and how expensive it is, I'm going to pick these up. I'm going to level up my skills on Constance once, and I think I have one blue generic sculpture that can be applied to any commander, so that means I need 19 more. So we'll pick those up now. I'm going to count it out. Chisgule does math in this episode of Gathering. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and we're going to go over, and the skill that we want to upgrade on Constance, wait, oh yeah, I got to assign this one over and confirm. And by the way, I can show you here. See, it says Expedition and Universal Sculptures. It's the only place you can get it. The skill we want to upgrade is Queen of Sicily, which gives you additional resources upon completion of gathering. And over time, that really adds up. So we're trying to get this one. If we get additional load, that won't be the end of the world. Since the addition of these resource centers, which is amazing, by the way, we'll talk about those in a second, I actually find myself needing the ability to carry more load on my troops. So I don't hate the idea that my load skill would go up, even though that's a sort of temporary fix. Eventually I'll have enough troops to do that. It won't be an issue. And this first skill I really don't care about, Struggling Poison. She's not here to do damage. So let's try our luck. We're going for Queen of Sicily. We're going to upgrade a skill. Here we go. Well, load. I said that wasn't the worst, and I'm okay with that outcome. But you can see it's very, very expensive to try to be skilling her up later on. Now, I mentioned the resource center, and we'll talk for just a second about what commanders you should be sending to a resource center if your alliance has created some of these. A resource center contains an unbelievable amount of resources. This started with well over, I think, 46 million gold, which is what's here now, and you want to send commanders that are obviously optimized for gathering at this location. But what I have found is that it's going to send so many troops. You can see here, well, hopefully you can see that I have capacity here for 3.6 million resources from this resource node. And it used the majority of my siege units to go to this node. It actually, I could have brought more here, but it literally used up all my siege units and was going to start sending regular troops, which I needed to go do battles. So I mention all of this because originally, load was completely irrelevant. Load, the amount of resources a unit can carry, was completely irrelevant. But now I find myself creating level 1 siege units because When you level up the level of the siege unit, it barely gets any more load. It barely gets any more amount that it can carry. And I need so many more of them. So I'm doing that now. There's a little bit of risk there with my hospital capacity. It's fine. Our kingdom's not at war. So, my friends, we have covered a lot of ground in this gathering series, talking about talents specifically in this video. Is there anything I missed or that we should talk about? I'll show you here, by the way. You can see in my gathering report, I'm harvesting from level 5 croplands. Normally, those would carry 378,000 resources. I'm bringing back 400,680 resources because I've got that skill maxed, or sorry, that talent maxed that gives me an extra 6% resources every time I gather. My friends, if this video was helpful, please do like, share, and subscribe. As a new content creator, it means a whole heck of a lot to me. And until next time, my friends, you have fun smashing the kingdom.